Hello and welcome to another standard video. Today we're checking out this monowhite tokens control deck, which features the full playset of Ajani, Outland Chaperone, 3 mana, 3 loyalty Planeswalker, the +1 making a 1/1 Kithkin token, the -2 dealing 4 damage to target tapped creature. So 3 mana Planeswalker that can both produce tokens to protect itself, as well as act as removal the turn it comes down is a pretty good deal. So I feel like this Planeswalker has a lot of potential, even with today's power creep, and then the -8 ultimate can also be fun, but it's not really what the card is all about. And then Ajani is also great alongside Elspeth, since now we get to double the tokens we generate with Elspeth's passive ability, the +1 now making a pair of soldier tokens, and the 0 ability also being a nice finisher, giving all our creatures a +1/+1 counter and flying until our next turn, so they can also play defense against other flyers if needed, and Elspeth can also immediately destroy an opposing creature with a -3 when it enters. It's another awesome Planeswalker. And then we've got 8 card draw engines, which pair well with all these token makers. Caretaker's Talent in enchantment form says whenever 1 or more tokens enter, we get to draw a card once each turn. Can also level it up to make a copy of a token, and on level 3 gets to give our tokens +2/+2, so an excellent finisher. And then Enduring Innocence, a creature enchantment, a 2/1 lifelinker, saying whenever 1 or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter, we get to draw a card. So will happen if we make tokens, unless we maybe have a level 3 talent preventing us from drawing with the Enduring Innocence. And then when it dies, it also comes back in enchantment form, once again drawing us additional cards whenever a smaller creature enters, also great in multiples. And then all these Planeswalkers and enchantments that draw additional cards play incredibly well with a couple board wipes, so we can keep the board clear so we don't get out aggroed by other creature decks, and then slowly take over with all the extra resources from our Planeswalkers and our card advantage. So we've got a full set of Day of Judgment as a cheaper, more reliable board wipe, and then Ultima can also be very effective as another answer to artifacts as well. Do keep in mind it does end the turn, so despite normally wanting to first cast a board wipe and then plus our Planeswalker to make additional tokens, with Ultima you might want to plus first just to get the extra loyalty and then cast Ultima afterwards, because otherwise you're not going to get a chance to. Ultima also a little bit of a nombo with a couple of our artifacts, although most of them we can still sacrifice beforehand. And then we also have to watch out with our own Enduring Innocence, since it's not going to be coming back if the turn ends, so then we're first better off finding a way to destroy the Innocence, maybe jumping with it or destroying it with a Day of Judgment before we cast our own Ultima. So just a few things to keep in mind, but I think Ultima is still worth it, as it's a great answer to any of the green decks with a bunch of the Earthbend mechanic, as Earthbended lands are not coming back, and it also remains our best answer to the Synthesizer artifact decks, which can otherwise threaten lethal out of nowhere with a hasty Fire Crystal. And then, rounding out the deck, at 1 mana, I'm playing Authority of the Consuls as a way to mitigate haste creatures taking out our Planeswalkers or dealing a lot of damage. The red decks might be on a bit of a resurgence as a way to fight the slower combo decks and graveyard decks, so then it's nice to have a couple Authorities to play early. And then I'm also playing a few graveyard hate cards, playing a split of Soul Guide Lantern and Ghost Vacuum. We could also play Rest in Peace as an enchantment, but that's a bit of a nombo with our own Enduring Innocence. Then again, artifacts can also get blown up by Ultima, but at least a Lantern we can sacrifice to draw a card in matchups where the opponent's graveyard doesn't matter, or if we want to sacrifice it before casting our own Ultima. Kutzil's Flanker at 3 mana could also be an option, but doesn't have a ton of synergy throughout, and we've got a lot of 3-drops already. And then we're also playing the full set of Carrot Cake as a cheap token maker, gives us a bit of card selection with a Scry, and more importantly, for 2 mana we can also sacrifice it in the opponent's turn to gain 3 life, make another rabbit, which in turn can once again draw off Caretaker's Talent or Enduring Innocence, so we maybe get to make a token in our turn to draw a card, and then do it all over again in the opponent's turn to maximize our card draw. And then we also need some instant speed removal that can deal with creatures, enchantments, and Planeswalkers alike, since Planeswalkers can be a weakness otherwise, and Get Lost, of course, fits the bill here. And then our mana base is also pretty important and can be configured in a lot of different ways. I do like the addition of Sunken Citadel. Even though it enters tapped, we can still make white mana with it afterwards. And then it can make 2 mana to activate abilities of lands. And lands are super important here, with Fountain Port being another awesome way to consistently keep making more tokens, especially important against other control decks, especially if they don't have a great way to destroy your lands. Then Fountain Port can keep making more fish tokens, once again drawing drawing more with a talent and Enduring Innocence. Can also sacrifice a token to draw, or maybe make a treasure if that's what we need. And then I'm also running 2 Abandoned Air Temples, entering untapped if we control a basic planes. We've got 15 of those. And then this can also maybe pump up our creatures, putting a +1 counter on everyone. So that can be another excellent way to quickly close out the game once we get a few tokens, in case we maybe don't have a level 3 Caretaker's Talent, or don't have an Elspeth to give us additional +1 counters, or we can use it in conjunction with those to get the game over with in a hurry. Now, we could also be playing some land destruction ourselves in the mana base, cards like the Demolition Field to deal with opposing utility lands, but to be honest, there's not too many utility lands I'm afraid of. It's not like we're running counter spells and we're afraid of the uncounterable lands, and we're happy playing a long grindy game. Even if the opponent maybe has a few creature lands, we still have tokens that can jump and some instant speed removal that can deal with most of them. So yeah, that's definitely a choice you can make, but I'm pretty happy with the current mana base. So yeah, let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play. We have a functional hand. Got our token maker, card advantage, win condition, removal. It's a decent mix. Looks like they might have a duress. I've also seen intimidation tactics, which would only get a carrot cake here. Yep. So that one's fine. Still have Fountain Port to enable the talent. And we do another carrot cake anyways. We literally get to have our cake and eat it too. A miner, so mono black skeletons. The live game will be helpful. Opponent hexes the token. So play talent, and then next turn we can activate, plus maybe get lost. Right, Slasher can be a little scarier. Currently don't have any graveyard hate to deal with it, so would have to maybe chump it a few times. Yeah, I think the plan's still carrot cake. Maybe I just carrot cake level up talents. Although I miss out on getting a token in the opponent's turn to draw an extra card. But I guess that's how it works out right now. I found a Ghost Vacuum, so in conjunction with Get Lost that can deal with a Slasher. For now I'm happy just to make a few more blockers. And this can also exile the Miner, so Sweeper wouldn't be bad. Just playing Elspeth and making more tokens still stabilizes the board just fine. Corpses will make some more hasty skeletons. So now, what's the plan? I guess chump and keep the other token for now. May as well clear the graveyard, although I don't think it matters too much. There might be some collect evidence happening. And then I still kind of like Elspeth more than Get Lost Vacuum. Start going wide while drawing cards. For now we can still chump. Got some life to spare. And it's only a matter of time until we draw Sweeper. Ultima is also great since it gets rid of the Slasher, prevents it from coming back. So this is kind of where we want to get to with the tokens deck against creatures, forcing the opponent to either overextend to be able to close out the game before we take over in the late game, maybe try to take out our Planeswalkers by committing more creatures, but then we can play a Sweeper and then still take over with our many token makers. Right, Sneakling is a hasty skeleton, so they are going for it. And an Annex, we could also get lost. But yeah, if I don't draw Sweeper soon, I could still be in trouble. Everyone at Elspeth. So the Slasher can hit our Planeswalker just fine. So I could double block one of them. Let's say the Miner, which I can then also exile. And then chump here. And then Elspeth lives. They do get to pick up the corpses. Step 1, make tokens. Find another Get Lost. So I can Get Lost to Annex to get rid of it. May want to do that before they make a demon. Although they're more likely to replay Corpses of the Lost. And then we can also Get Lost Slasher exile it. So then... yeah, I guess that doesn't leave mana for anything else. This is already level 2. Getting this to level 3 also wouldn't be unreasonable, since that would make my creatures better at blocking. Yeah, let's try that. Just level this up. We have a backup Elspeth in hand anyways. And then my instinct is still Get Lost on Annex over Slasher, but we'll see. Because Corpses is better for them if they want to finish off Elspeth here. So then Slasher may not even bother going face this turn. They drew another Miner. Could have also used Get Lost on the corpses before they attacked, but now I can also shrink down their skeletons by destroying the corpses of the Lost. So we actually have a lot of plays we can make here. Slasher's going face. Okay, so how about I Get Lost to corpses, and then block Sneakling, block Miner. They also wouldn't have a demon for Annex. And we can exile the Miner. Elspeth still dies, that's fine. And then we'll just take the hit from Slasher. Opponent goes exploring. They will draw, shoot the Sheriff. Exile the Miner. And a Day of Judgment is right on time. Can attack. Day of Judgment, exile Slasher. Although I need to watch out that I don't die to the Sanctuary. So am I better off just going Elspeth plus for a turn? Ideally draw a land so I can still Get Lost the enchantment. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Join the fight.
Perfect. So now I probably want to Get Lost to Annex before they get a chance to make a demon. Alright, and then we've got good blocks available. Opponent goes exploring. Draws a land. Still trying to make a 3/3 skeleton. Dark Confidant on top. Seems like a fine draw. They could also activate Sanctuary, make another 3/3. Or they could cast Shoot the Sheriff. Either way, I'm happy to trade and chump Slasher. We can keep making more tokens. And they're going face now. So double blocking Slasher would not work out. Although maybe forcing them to use Shoot the Sheriff is not a bad idea. Because I was maybe gonna Day of Judgment anyways. And that's fine. Now they can't activate Sanctuary end of turn. Opponent's got another Slasher. Interesting. Well, I think it's gonna work out for me. Since I can Day of Judgment and then use a Lantern on one of the Slashers, or I guess it can just exile both. But yeah, may as well and get rid of one Slasher with a Ghost Vacuum. Some full control here. So I can respond to these triggers. Although exiling Slasher is a little sketchy, because if I control it, how does Ghost Vacuum work if I were to activate it? Put each creature exiled onto the battlefield under your control. Yeah, it's not a token, so then if the Slasher were to die, our opponent gets it back. So I'll just get rid of the Sneakling, I guess. So let that resolve, and then Lantern exile the rest. Because if Slasher dies, it goes back to its owner's control, which is not what we want.
More heroes for the cause.
Okay, pass the turn. Currently don't have an answer to Dark Confidence, but we'll manage. Could sack a token to draw, but I think I want to get the game over with now. Make more tokens.
Ready arms.
Find Day of Judgment, seems a little drastic for Dark Confidence. Can activate Fountain Port. Tokens can get busy. And using Fountain Port in the opponent's turn will once again draw off talents. And then between Air Temple and Elspeth flying the team, we should have lethal. But we'll see here. At 5, I can't think of any one-top deck that kills me. But I guess they do get 2 draws with a Dark Confidence. Sneakling plus an unknown. Yeah, we've had some nice back and forth, but our opponent throws in the towel. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw with a functional hand. Possible we'll need some graveyard hate. This looks like control. So, not in a hurry to play Authority. Can play Carrot Cake, might get spell snared. Do I care? Yeah, I guess I'll wait and then play Authority for now. Might be better to play the talent first and then make the tokens. The one card I don't have right now, which would be nice, is a Fountain Port, which often gives us some inevitability against other control decks. But we'll find it sooner or later, get to resolve our talents, which our opponent could get lost. Usually a 4-off and Jeskai control. And now Fountain Port is excellent. So yeah, can play the Carrot Cake, probably get spell snared. So, could have been a reason to just go for Fountain Port, which I can activate to sack a token to draw, but cannot make a token with it. But I had Carrot Cake resolved, I could have also made a token in the opponent's turn to draw an extra card. Now they could find an answer to the talent, so might have missed out on an extra card had I just made a fish. Get to untap. I guess I can main phase Fountain Port, or I can pass, because I'm probably not doing anything else right now. Now I do have to watch out that our opponent doesn't just overpower us with a bunch of Jeskai Revelations back to back. So that's now the concern. But now I can cheaply level up the talents, and then still have Fountain Port in the opponent's turn to keep the cards flowing. Opponent forced to abrade the fish. Could also sack it with Fountain Port, but let's let that happen. Could have gotten away with an attack for 1 first before activating the talent. Since we have Authority, we're not afraid of opposing flash creatures getting in the way. We'll just pass it back again. Fountain Port, make a fish. Although now they do have Jeskai Revelation mana. And they're gonna get lost the talent after all. Okay. So our hand's not amazing. Hit for 1, go exploring. Opponent's got their own source of card advantage. Keep an Elspeth. There's a Revelation. So now, good turn for Day of Judgments. So Elspeth, I can pay for 1 No More Lies. They already exiled 1 copy. They most likely have a hard counter. Or another Revelation. Yep. I'm fine casting another Day of Judgment. They want to take unnecessary damage, and the prowess damage can quickly add up. I do have 4 copies of Lightning Helix as well. Let's try the Innocence. And then now I'm leaning Fountain Port over Elspeth. Monastery finds a counter, so that's 2 gone. And a Rest in Peace. That is a good one. Can of course get lost it. But they can now maybe get rid of the Innocence. Yeah, so in response, Fountain Port, make a fish. Could have maybe started with Get Lost on Rest in Peace actually, because now they can No More Lies a Get Lost, and they have 1 in exile. So I might have to let the Innocence go. And then we can still activate Temple. Alright, got 2 sources of card advantage now. So let me attack. Because of authority, I don't have to worry about any Unagis jumping in front. And draw 2. So now we could see an opposing sweeper. Still gonna activate Fountain Ports. And Day of Judgment, so now the question is, do I get lost Rest in Peace to get Innocence back? Or do I just keep the talents as our only source of card advantage? And then I could draw 2 on the way out. Interesting spot. They probably have a second Rest in Peace, so I don't feel like fighting over it with Get Lost when I can maybe answer their win conditions. Although most of their win conditions at this point are just random creatures. So, yeah, maybe this is worth fighting over. And then I didn't tap properly, since I could have kept up Fountain Port to sack a token and draw, thanks to Citadel. So I should have been paying closer attention. Oh well, let's try Elspeth now. That resolves.
More heroes for the cause.
Don't need to worry about Lantern.
By my axe, there will be just side
And then I can still Fountain Port, also doubling the tokens. Opponent did have their own Get Lost. Yeah, I'll Fountain Port on the way out, even if they might have a sweeper here. Make 2 fish tokens. And Revelation deals with Ajani. So that's their last Revelation, I think, unless they're playing all 4. So now Air Temple's looking good. Can also level up Talent all the way. What does that look like? Play another Talent, level up. And then I can still Air Temple. Just have to be careful I don't get burnt out. They've already used 2 copies of Lightning Helix. So I might prefer a Carrot Cake here. 33 cards remain. Not really in danger of running out of cards. But yeah, don't hate Talents. Play Carrot Cake. Be able to sack it in the opponent's turn to draw 2 more. They are considering a No More Lies, which I can pay for. Yeah, ideally I would have waited to level up the other Talent all the way. So that resolved. Let's see if Carrot Cake resolves as well. Or if they have a Spell Snare left. That resolves, so that can give me 3 more life. Land is fine. And let's get attacking. Opponent goes digging. Yeah, I think I'll make another blocker. Carrot Cake's fine. They might have done us a favor by playing Rest in Peace, since I could have been drawing too many cards here with Enduring Innocence in play. So this is another sweeper, sure. And get lost the level 3 talents. Okay. Opponent's fighting the good fight here. But this one Fountain Port has done so much work for us.
Can help you find your path. My ally stands.
Another Air Temple. I'll take another Fountain Port. Opponent will Helix in response. Happy to see it use on a creature as opposed to going face. Or maybe dealing with a Planeswalker. Can level all the way. Or I can make a few more tokens here between Fountain Port and Carrot Cake. Better to go wide before we pump the team. So our opponent's slowly running out of resources. They've already cast most of their finishers. Guess I'll first make a token so I draw the card I want, and then we can scry afterwards. Not too worried about decking just yet. And Get Lost is fine in case a creature shows up. Okay, so step 1 plus Ajani.
Your size belies your bravery.
Opponent's got to Unagi, which we can easily pay for, thanks to all these map tokens. So, normally they would get to draw an extra card here, with the ability. Waterbend 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could have also tapped a Summoning Sick token. Unagi down. And there's Elspeth. And the opponent's finally gonna give up. They were just running out of resources, out of win conditions, and we still had plenty more to give. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a functional hand. Just looking for land 3, so I might have to sack the Lantern here. Opponent blue-green, so Badger Mold deck. Alright, Carrot Cake can scry towards land 3. And a Vibrance, okay. So maybe it is just Elemental deck. Opponent looking for land, finds Cavern. So this is going to be a grindy matchup. So having access to Planeswalkers and card draw is important. Innocence can get exiled by Wistfulness, so I think that's why we should go for Ajani first, so next turn I can immediately draw a card at least.
Come with me to safety. My allies stand strong.
Thunderflock will be pretty effective once they get it down as a way to bounce my board. Alright, so Ashling can probably stick around for now. Go Innocence, make a token.
Thank you for your aid.
And then I can still sack the Lantern to draw. Ashling can transform, and then, yeah, maybe their best play is Wistfulness, exiling the Innocence. Could have waited to maybe respond with Get Lost to destroy it. Alright, it's gonna be a Roaming Throne first, so now Day of Judgment's looking pretty good too. Find another Innocence. So can attack first, then Day of Judgment, and then still plus Ajani.
Side by side we fight.
Don't think their graveyard really matters too much. So -8 to ultimate, so we're still a couple turns off. And there's Wistfulness, so opponent's gonna deal with Innocence here, no doubt. Alright, good thing we drew another. They were trying to set up the double trigger with Roaming Throne. So Innocence plus Ajani. And then by sacking Carrot Cake in the opponent's turn, we get to draw again.
My allies stand strong.
So we're waiting for maybe a Caretaker's Talents. Elspeth would be great. Authority is not a priority. No haste creatures that I'm worried about. There's Elspeth. Okay, so I could play Elspeth first, and then Ajani makes double the tokens as well. And then I don't mind the 0 ability to close out the game here.
Stand by my side, friend.
This might be an Ashling's command to deal 2 to everything. which I guess would have been a reason to just attack as is and then make some more tokens second main, since this was kind of transparent in hindsight. That's alright. Play Vacuum. Could have also sacked Lantern. I guess we didn't hit a land drop this turn. So our opponent does now have a bunch of treasure. But Ajani's threatening ultimate, so they need to come up with maybe Deceit to bounce it. Yep. Don't know if I've actually read Ajani's ultimate. Yeah, it would be pretty good here. Probably goes for Enduring Innocence if I had to guess. Still goes for Ajani. Fountain Port's good too. So Innocence. Under off Innocence. With double Get Lost, I probably don't need to use Elspeth to deal with Deceit. We can just Get Lost it. And then for now make some more tokens. Can also just jump the Deceit, to be fair. Especially with Carrot Cake, making more tokens in the opponent's turn. I guess I'll take an Authority now, as something cheap we can play since we're drawing so many cards. Pass it back. The concern would be Sunderflock bouncing our stuff. I'm okay if they cast it. I can still get lost to Deceit. Although maybe we just take 5 on Elspeth and then I can just clean up with Day of Judgment afterwards. Yeah, more than happy to jump. Although I guess if they went face, I could have just taken it as well. Alright, end of turn. I guess our opponent's sitting on another Ashling's command. I think I'm still happy to activate Carrot Cake. Keep Authority. Take our draw. So if I go for Elspeth's 0 ability and they don't command a response, then I could use the Air Temple for an extra +1 counter to punish them. Don't know if I should try that. Might be a bit ambitious. Yeah, I'll give my opponent some credit. There's a command, and they're just gonna draw 2, not trying to copy Deceit. That's fine. Innocence is back. And then now I can make some more tokens. Draw some more cards. Find a backup Elspeth. And I think just pass. Fountain Port can also make double the tokens. Flame Braider's fine. Something like Roaming Throne into Wistfulness would be a concern, so that's why I'm also trying to keep up a Get Lost for it. Alright, end of turn Fountain Port. And draw. Sack Lantern. Should have been using Ghost Vacuum in the meantime. And yeah, I don't think I care about the Deceit. So Elspeth, once again, looking at the 0 ability maybe. And we'll see what their response is. And go to attackers. And now we do have Air Temple as a play if they try to command. Yep. So that's not quite gonna work out. Now I do think I get lost Deceit, since Sunderflock seems likely, so I want him to tap more mana for it. And then pass it back, can still maybe use Fountain Port. So possible I could have pulled off the Air Temple play 2 turns ago. Kivero, I guess, would go for Deceit or Wistfulness. What colors did they tap? Is there a way to find out? Has to have involved blue and then either black or green, it's hard to tell. Yeah, I guess Wistfulness would be the most annoying. Kivero, of course, doesn't target, so would not have been able to wait. But yeah, they didn't tap the right colors to actually bounce stuff. And now Sunderflock. That works. So I'll sack a token, draw. Could have maybe responded to the trigger anyway with Get Lost, again to make Sunderflock more expensive. But I'm happy to cast a Sweeper now. I wasn't necessarily expecting Kivero, or I would have been more active on my Ghost Vacuuming. But yeah, opponent's at 3. Don't think they're coming back from this. Alright, so Ultima does get rid of Ghost Vacuum, so I'll just use Day of Judgment. Make some more tokens. And then I can play Authority, still activate all of my lands. Another Kivero. I guess we go for Sunderflock now. And once again, they weren't being too careful with how they tapped their mana. Riddler's fine. Enter's tapped, so we can just either activate Temple or make some more tokens with Fountain Port. Vibrant now with double red. But yeah, opponent knows that they're dead. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a hand that does need a card draw engine to really go off. But at least we already have Fountain Port. We're good against aggro. So we'll give it a shot. Turn 1 Plains. So not sure what to expect. At least if it's blue-white control, Fountain Port's awesome. Looks like mono-white or us. This is actually one of our best matchups. And could go for Ajani, make a token. Goes up to 4 loyalty. There are combinations that can take out Ajani, but we maybe force him to overextend into our Day of Judgment.
Side by side we fight.
Spellbook Vendor. So they can pay the 1, fly the Aerialist. That hits for 3, so not enough to take out Ajani. And then Day of Judgment looks fine.
I will not stand down.
Still have a Get Lost. Ajani can maybe -2 at some point. And it also plays beautifully with Authority, forcing the opposing creatures to enter tapped. Another Authority. Maybe a little bit much, but I think I keep plussing. And then I can go Authority, activate Fountain Port. Could also sack a token to draw. And then I can still play another Authority, although I might want to keep up Get Lost 2 authorities is probably enough for now. And yeah, I don't have to attack. The 1 damage doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Opponent's gonna pay the 1, but they already had a roll. So now what I could do is Fountain Port, make a 3rd token triple block, forcing them to play Shard Mage's Rescue. And then we lose our tokens, but then next turn I should be able to get lost. That's one play, or I can just jump and then sack to draw. And still have a get lost in hand. Ultima's not bad. All our sweepers are great. Survivor does enter tapped, so they do get to exile something right away. If they had played it first main phase. Okay, let's just untap. Ajani keeps making tokens. Gonna wait a little bit longer on Ultima. Get a bit more value of our Fountain Ports. Don't think I need to play Carrot Cake, since I would also get blown up by Ultima. So yeah, as soon as we find a more reliable card draw engine, we should be in great shape. And our opponent might just concede to this Ultima. So now they both get a roll. Can chump chump sacrifice. Also worth it to pay attention to what they scry. They did keep the second one on top. Exile Day of Judgment. And now Ultima looks good. Although probably should have plussed Ajani first actually, since the turn's gonna end, so I wouldn't get a chance to do so afterwards. So it would have just given us an extra point of loyalty, but as expected, Ultima is good enough. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a hand that's lacking a source of card advantage, really. The lands are not ideal, but still workable. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could try it and then hope to draw Enduring Innocence or Caretaker's Talent. Got the Fountain Port to make some tokens at least. Should be okay against aggro. Blue-black is not aggro. Still fine to play Authority here. Can maybe cast an Ajani if we top deck it. Bat will have a look, so this is Dimir midrange. Can be a trickier matchup, especially cards like Kaito can be difficult to deal with. They got rid of my Planeswalker removal, although we did draw an Innocence at least. So they can't ninjutsu Kaito without giving me back the Get Lost. Okay, so now I'm kind of expecting Tidebinder or Drowner, perhaps. So, what makes sense? Maybe attack first. Does maybe open up Ninjutsu next turn, if I don't leave enough blockers back. But I can make blockers with Fountain Port. Tidebinder countering the Enduring Innocence's ability could be annoying. So I think I just pass, and then I can Fountain Port in their turn if needed. Opponent's going to use a Drowner, so they might try to get rid of the Innocence. Seems like a good window to make a fish, to at least guarantee the card. Yeah, Drowner's the best way they have of getting rid of the Enduring Innocence, so I do expect them to activate here. So Band chips in for 1. Get to untap. Alright, so we still get to keep the Innocence, which is great. Now I can cast Carrot Cake, although... yeah, I guess I can leave up Fountain Port, sack a token, draw card. Although they could use a Tidebinder now, but that's also kind of running into our Day of Judgment, which they know about. And I can also sack Carrot Cake in the opponent's turn to draw an extra card. Elspeth is good, although for right now I would prefer land actually. So they're considering Tidebinder. Yep. So this has already triggered, so sacking to Carrot Cake in response doesn't do anything. Alright, so now just a 2-1 with no abilities. So that also means that if it gets destroyed, it would also not come back. So I do kind of have to get lost the Tidebinder first. Or we could get lost the bat to get our author copy back first. So a couple interesting plays available. I think I'll wait. See what their plans are. Just a bat attacking. So it could be an okay window for Kaito, but again, giving the Get Lost back makes that a little awkward. So now I don't hate Get Lost on Tidebinder, and then take it from there. They might have Spell Snare to counter. Yep. Alright, so that's going to complicate matters a little bit. Found my land, although it's still understaffed since we don't have a plane somehow. So I don't really want a Day of Judgment yet. Can sack a token to Fountain Port to draw. Could also pump the team with Air Temple, so we do have a couple options available here. That opponent's just going to shoot to Innocence right now. Fair enough. And another bat. That's totally fine. So it might be time to cash out on the tokens we have in play to set up our first Day of Judgment. Opponent's not too happy. Take 1. And I'm just gonna sack to draw. Find a talent, which would be great to resolve. Can sacrifice to draw again to try and hit a land drop, and then still Day of Judgment. Yeah, because if I Day of Judgment, it's not like I get to then still cast a Get Lost or anything. Alright, did not get there. So, yeah, now we could be in trouble if they have Enduring Curiosity. But we'll try the talent. They would have to commit the Enduring Curiosity. They get to draw 4 but lose their board. Alright, opponent's being patient. And we drew the land now. So step 1, Day of Judgment. And then can still Carrot Cake to draw off talents. Seems alright. Can pay for Phantom Interference. Opponent had a 3 steps after all. So then I may want to use Carrot Cake now just to guarantee the card of talents. A Lantern's not the worst if we need to deal with Enduring Curiosity. Looks like a Kaito. Yep. Giving us back Day of Judgment.
Your tech is way. I love a dramatic.
But they know we have 2 in hand. So they would need another 3 steps.
I've trained with the best.
Which they very well might have. Still gonna Day of Judgment here, I think. In hindsight, finding a land would have been useful. So I could still maybe Ajani afterwards. Could also just Ajani the Bat, get back Get Lost. Although we will lose Ajani to the Tidebinder. Fountain Port for 3 mana, make a token, draw a card. Could still Day of Judgment after. We'll see if they have another 3 steps. And then I guess I have to Get Lost now. Because in their turn it's gonna have hexproof. So another Spell Snare would be effective. Alright, that worked out. So now Restless Reef, the biggest threat. And Bat will have a look. Enters tapped, which is perfect for setting up Ajani. And our opponent scoops it up. Yeah, they don't want to deal with this massive card advantage. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We have a hand that desperately needs a couple more lanes. Is it good enough? If I draw 2 lanes and can Day of Judgment, then we can probably stabilize. I'll try it. It's definitely borderline. But on the draw, we've got an extra chance at drawing what we need. Against the Badger Mole deck, could wait for them to cast Nature's Rhythm to then exile it. I may need to draw off Lantern, but I guess it doesn't really change my sequencing too much. I can wait. Since I was probably gonna have to Get Lost on 2. Alright, no Badger Mole, so I guess I'm fine with Lantern. Sacrifice it to draw, maybe. Even though they could play Ouroboros. Can either jump it for a turn and then Day of Judgment, or we can just Get Lost it. Yeah, there's Ouroboros. So they will get some counters, could have been prevented by keeping up Get Lost. Right. I guess I'll just Get Lost it now. Don't want to let them untap and potentially have a counterspell. But now they do get to explore. Still have a Day of Judgment to hopefully clean up at some points. Play the Innocence. And Ajani would just deal with 1 Pollinator. They are keeping up 2 mana here. I see a Dazzling Denial. Okay, probably playing alongside Mockingbird. So a good Day of Judgment, but it definitely feels like they have another counterspell in hand. So let's maybe see what's up with Ajani. Yep, opponent uses another Denial. So yeah, hopefully next turn I get to Day of Judgment. They have to think about it for a second, so they might be out of counterspells. Alright, now that being said, it's just 2 Pollinators, so could also go Elspeth, make some tokens. And then hope that can chump to then take over. They could have some creature interaction as well.
White.
An escort for hexproof. Also explains the denial. So they're probably playing the librarian as well to draw more cards. Bounce 1 token, alright. So we're close to that if they had another bounce spell. So step 1, Day of Judgments. That works. Did not seem like they were holding another counter. But now we are at 2, so another escort could present lethal out of nowhere. Same with other flash birds. But nope, opponent throws in the towel here, so I'll take it. But yeah, that's exactly what this deck is designed to do, is prolong the game, since we're quite comfortable playing the late game with all these Planeswalkers, all our lands with activated abilities, so we usually don't mind. And yeah, the deck still has good tools to beat aggro with all our sweepers and early spot removal, and at the same time we're comfortable playing against other control decks, so that's a pretty good balance. Of course, there is still a pretty glaring weakness, and that is combo, and since we do have a bit of graveyard hate to deal with graveyard combo, it's mostly the other combo decks, thinking of Kona combo, which specifically requires instant speed interaction, and with only 4 copies of Get Lost, that doesn't leave a ton of room for interaction on our side. And then there's also the new Doomsday Excruciator mill deck, and just mill decks in general are also going to be pretty tough for this mono-white control deck to deal with, since we cannot really fight spells on the stack like a blue control deck would be able to, so then if our opponent can just mill us out, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. So yeah, the deck definitely has some weaknesses, but if you expect a metagame with mostly creature decks, ideally without too many counter spells, which can maybe counter your board wipes and then still take you out in the meantime, then you should be pretty well positioned. But yeah, for now, I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.